So, Bile Titans are an issue. They have huge amounts of HP, they're super tanky, they can one-shot me from far away, and when the game likes throwing 5 at me at once, they can end my mission, and they need to be nerfed. Or at least that's what part of the community is generally saying. Now, I don't necessarily disagree, but I'd like to say that in at least 90% of my missions, Bile Titans are the least of my worries. And not for the reasons you think. I almost never bring a railgun to missions. I find that I bring grenade launchers instead most of the time. I would even go as far as to say bile spewers, stalkers, and even hunters tend to be more of a common issue. Hello everyone, this is Metanaut, and I'm gonna talk about how Bile Titans are actually very simple-minded creatures. In my opinion, their entire goal is to be blockers and anti-campers. But as long as you follow the mindset of moving methodically and constantly that I talked about in my quick guide to helldive video, you should have no issues dealing with them. But Metanaut, stop being so cryptic and tell me already. You got it, boss. And before anything, remember that everything I talk about is only based on helldive difficulty, so some strategies might not be as necessary in lower difficulties. But that's fine. Play how you like, as long as democracy wins. So, Bile Titans. For those who want the TLDR, to beat them, just evade them. For those who like to know a little more, here's what I got. Bile Titans like to spawn randomly, or so I think. And with the developers saying that there are over 40 hidden stats for your primary weapons, I wouldn't be surprised if there were also random hidden triggers for Bile Titans and all other enemies too. Anyway, when they spawn, they love wandering towards your direction, pretending like they don't know where you are, and then act surprised when they reach you. But luckily, they usually only walk towards your last known location. And once they get there, they'll usually just despawn or just start wandering off. And if you're asking, but Metanaut, how about eradication missions and extraction points where I have to stay in one spot? Ah yes, this game is the game of caveats, and that is one of them. But don't worry, I'll also talk about a strategy to deal with that later on in the video. Now, the big question is, how do I evade them? Okay. So far, there are two ways I know that can help you evade Bile Titans, and they are both part of the Horde management term I talked about in my weapon tier list video. But to give you a TLDR, this term just means peeling, or losing the aggro of a big horde of enemies to where they stop chasing you. Keep an eye out for the next video, where I go more in depth about how to execute this more effectively. Anyway, there are two ways to disengage from Bile Titans. 1. Using a turret stratagem to lure them away from you. This is the easiest of the two, as it is as simple as that. Throw a turret in the opposite direction you're moving. Just make sure that the turret is close enough to the Titan for it to see it, and far away enough to where it has to turn around and walk a short distance to destroy it. I'd say 2 to 6 Titan distance worth. Sometimes even further works. And if you don't have any turret stratagems or they're on cooldown, the second option is to just run. Run and wait until it uses its acid spitting attack. Use the time it stands still while it uses its attack to gain some distance from it. At that point, you should now be out of its immediate aggro range. And although it will still walk towards your general location, the good news here is that it will move to either the last or the last 2 current locations. And what I mean by this is that once it finishes its acid spitting attack, it will go to the location you are currently at, and once it reaches that location, it might in rare instances move to the location you are again currently at, just to troll you. So generally, all you have to do now is strafe to one side and keep moving. If you need to do a POI, then just circle around. At this point, the Bile Titan should be wandering off in the distance and no longer be an issue for you. Remember, always use the terrain to your advantage. Even the 1 second it takes the Bile Titan to climb over a hill can be enough to break aggro from it. Even the trees in the jungle planets can help you scurry away. To tie into my previous point, an additional benefit to disengaging from Bile Titans is that this tactic doesn't just work on Bile Titans, it also works on the 100 other enemies tailing your democratic ass. To put it simply, lose the Titans, lose the Horde. Fight the Titans, fight the Horde. Also, I know this is well known at this point, but the Bile Titan can be a useful horde reduction tool, as its legs and bile spitting attack can damage and eliminate other enemies, so use it to your advantage. And one last thing, I know that it is sometimes possible to 1 to 3 shot Titans with a fully charged railgun shot if you hit them in the side jaws, but I wholeheartedly believe that learning these evasive strategies can future-proof your survivability if they ever happen to rebalance our weaponry in the future, and you won't be so dependent on the railgun. Now, for eradicate missions, so far I have not had to struggle so much as usually a full squad with turrets, mortars, and anti-tank weaponry can usually clear any defense missions with ease, so there really isn't much to talk about here. Now, if you're doing it solo, then yes, definitely evasive strategies is the best. Juke, outrun, and keep moving. Make as many enemies follow you in a line and blast them with an eagle. And of course, use turrets as decoys. And finally, how do you deal with titans during extraction? Funny enough, the strategy is very similar. It's all about horde management. Just circle around the outskirts of the objective, have the Bile Titan follow you, and have it periodically help you clear out the horde chasing you with its Bile attack. Get rid of all the fastest enemies near you, use turret stratagems to further lure out titans, and just make sure not to outrun the horde so much to where it splits and you end up surrounded. In which case, just go through the middle, but that's part of horde management and it's for another video. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful and I don't want to make it any longer. This was Metanaut, see you in the next one.